Imagine waking up one morning and feeling as if the world has lost all its color. Every movement feels like wading through thick water. Breathing itself seems like a task too heavy to bear. You look around, and the world seems normal. People laugh, go about their lives, chase their goals. But you feel like a ghost in your own life. Observing from the outside, unable to participate. This isn't just sadness. It isn't just a bad day. This is depression, a deep, invisible storm that affects every part of your being. Mind, body, and soul. If you've ever felt this way, know this. Backhand index pointing right, you are not broken. Backhand index pointing right, you are not weak. Backhand index pointing right, you are not failing. Depression is real. And understanding it is the first step toward reclaiming your life. What depression really is. Depression is not laziness. It's not a lack of willpower. It's not something you can simply snap out of. It is a complex state of mental, emotional, and physical shutdown. It is a fog that dulls the senses, weighs down the thoughts, and steals pleasure from everything you once loved. Music feels empty. Eating, walking, even talking feels exhausting. Achievements lose their meaning. The future feels like a flat, gray landscape. Your brain is trapped in a loop where survival itself takes the energy of a marathon, and every small action becomes a monumental challenge. What happens inside the brain? Science behind depression. Modern neuroscience shows that depression isn't all in your head, in a dismissive sense. It literally changes the brain. Brain's prefrontal cortex. Responsible for decision-making, planning, and focus. In depression, it becomes slower. Small decisions feel overwhelming. Tasks that used to feel automatic now require immense effort. A part of brain called amygdala, also known as the emotional alarm system. It's being overactive in depression. And doing heightened negative emotional response. It triggers constant overthinking and emotional hyperarousal. Another part of brain called hippocampus, which is the center of memory and emotion. Chronic stress and depression can shrink this region. Painful memories resurface endlessly, making it impossible to escape the past. Depression is also chemical and hormonal. A hormone which is called as dopamine. Its deficiency causes the loss of pleasure, loss of motivation. Another hormone called as serotonin, its disruption caused mood instability. One more hormone known as cortisol, its excess causes chronic stress, exhaustion, and impaired neuroplasticity. All these hormonal activities explains why just thinking positive is impossible. Even small tasks, showering, eating, responding to messages, require Herculean effort. Depression doesn't only affect your mood or thoughts. It affects your entire body, often in quiet, confusing ways. Here's what depression can do physically, and why it happens. Depression affects brain and nervous system. It causes mental fog and poor concentration, slower thinking, memory problems, and heightened stress response means your brain stays in threat mode. It's all because of depression disrupts neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, and keeps stress hormones like cortisol elevated. Depression causes constant exhaustion, even after sleep. Feeling heavy, slow, or drained. Simple tasks feel physically difficult. It's all because of your body stays in a low-grade stress state, which consumes energy and interferes with restorative processes. Depression causes insomnia or frequent waking. Sleeping too much but never feeling rested, and it's caused vivid or disturbing dreams. It's all because of depression alters circadian rhythms and suppresses deep, restorative sleep. Depression causes unexplained aches and pains. Neck, back, or joint pain. Increased muscle tension. It's all because of chronic stress causes muscle guarding, and depression lowers the brain's pain threshold. Depression causes low immune system. Getting sick more often. Slower healing. Increased inflammation in the body. And it's all because of depression weakens immune regulation and increases inflammatory markers. Depression affects your digestive system. Loss of appetite or overeating. Nausea, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea. Gut discomfort without clear medical cause. And it's all because of the gut and brain are closely linked. Depression disrupts gut-brain signaling and microbiome balance. Depression effects on heart and blood circulation. Increased heart rate or palpitations. Higher blood pressure. Greater long-term risk of heart disease. That's all because of persistent stress hormones strain the cardiovascular system. Depression causes hormonal imbalance. Changes in menstrual cycle or libido. Reduced sexual desire. Thyroid and cortisol imbalances. That's all because of depression interferes with the endocrine system, which regulates hormones. Depression effects on appetite and weight. Sudden weight loss or gain. Cravings for sugar and carbs. Loss of hunger cues. Dopamine and serotonin disruptions affect reward, hunger, and satiety signals. Depression causes physical numbness. Feeling emotionally and physically numb. Reduced sensation or pleasure. Disconnection from your body. Because of this is a protective shutdown response, not weakness. The body reduces sensitivity to survive overwhelm. One important truth. Depression symptoms are real, biological responses, not laziness, weakness, or just in your head. Your body is not failing you. It is trying to cope with prolonged emotional pain and stress. There is one question why depressed people often feel numb. So the answer is depression is not just sadness, it's often a flood of negative thoughts and feelings, guilt, hopelessness, shame, anxiety. The mind cannot handle this constant emotional stress, so it shuts down the emotional system to protect itself. Think of it like a circuit breaker. Here is too much input, the brain cuts the flow to prevent overload. Which results numbness, apathy, emotional detachment. And changes in brain chemistry. Serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine are key neurotransmitters that regulate mood and pleasure. In depression, dopamine drops cause reward system blunts results in activities that once felt pleasurable now feel empty. Serotonin dysregulation cause emotional processing slows, which may results that you may feel flat or disconnected. Another reason is cortisol, stress hormone, chronically high that causes brain prioritizes survival over feeling and results that emotional blunting occurs. Depression changes brain connectivity, especially between prefrontal cortex, decision-making, rational thinking. Amygdala, emotional response. Hippocampus, memory and context. Over time, the emotional brain becomes muted because constantly feeling sadness/anxiety is exhausting. Numbness is the brain's adaptive response. I can't feel everything all the time, so I'll feel nothing. When repeated efforts to improve mood fail, the brain learns that trying doesn't change anything. Emotionally, this can shut down motivation and responsiveness, leading to numbness. Numbness is sometimes protective. You can't feel joy, but you also can't feel intense pain. Your subconscious is trying to shield you from overwhelming emotional suffering. In depression, feeling disconnected from yourself or others. Loss of interest in hobbies or relationships. Difficulty experiencing pleasure or excitement. Numbness in depression is not laziness or weakness. It is the brain and mind's way of coping with constant stress, emotional pain, and chemical imbalances. It's an adaptive response, a signal that the brain is overwhelmed and needs healing. The role of guilt in depression. Depression has a cruel companion, guilt. It whispers, "It's your fault. You're not trying hard enough. You're failing life itself. But this is a lie. This inner voice is not you, it's part of the illness. It is a symptom, a neurological echo of your condition. Recognizing this is liberating. You are not your depression, and the guilt is not yours. Psychoanalytic and philosophical perspectives. Sigmund Freud said that depression is displaced mourning. Sometimes we grieve a lost person. Sometimes it's the loss of a dream, a sense of self, or a life we never had. Carl Jung said that depression is a call for transformation. When your psyche pulls you into darkness, it's asking, what part of yourself are you avoiding? It's a chance to confront inner disconnection and grow. Philosophers and psychologists alike suggest depression is not just a disease, it's a signal from your inner mind urging you to change course. Modern society and depression. We live in the era of comfort, technology, information, instant gratification. Yet rates of depression are rising. Why? Due to the social media illusion. Every day, we are bombarded with images of perfect lives, flawless bodies, relationships, and achievements. Comparison traps your mind. You start to feel inadequate. The modern world sells a version of happiness that is largely unattainable. Liquid modernity. Jobs are temporary. Relationships are unstable. Values are fluid. We are never allowed to rest, never allowed to feel content. And when we can't keep up, depression finds fertile ground. Isolation follows, even among crowds. Depression as a signal, not just a problem. What if depression isn't just a disease, but a message? It could be telling you, you're in the wrong environment. You're disconnected from your purpose. You are neglecting your inner self. It is your mind's way of saying, stop. Look. Pay attention to what truly matters. Philosophers, psychologists, and survivors agree, discomfort, melancholy, and existential questioning are often essential for growth. How to start healing, the power of small actions. Depression paralyzes, but small steps can slowly break the cycle. Drink a glass of water. Open a window and breathe deeply. Walk for 5 minutes. Write a single sentence about your feelings. These tiny actions signal to your brain, I still have agency. I still have control. This creates a chain reaction. One small step another. 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk. 1-sentence journaling session. Even connecting with something outside your mind, a plant, a pet, or a small interaction, bridges isolation and builds momentum toward recovery. The reality of recovery. Recovery is not linear. It is gradual, often imperceptible. Therapy may help. Medication may help. Exercise, art, spirituality, all are valid paths. The key is persistence, experimentation, and self-compassion. You are not your depression. Depression tries to convince you. This is who you are. You have always been this way. But think, there was a time before depression. There will be a time after. Depression is like a dense cloud, it obscures the sun, but the sun still exists behind it. You are still here. Something inside you still wants to live, to fight, to feel. Hold on to that part. That is your spark. You do not need to overcome depression all at once. You do not need to reset your mind overnight. The first step is small. The next step is another. You are not alone, and recovery is possible. Even when everything seems dark, small choices can slowly reclaim your life. Your depression does not define you, it is a phase, a signal, not your identity.